Story 1. The Old Church's Demon. This old church had always served as a haven for the small town. Families had gathered there for generations to pray, sing, and find solace in times of trouble. However, something had changed. Something evil had infiltrated the sacred space. Initially, the changes were subtle. The air became colder, and the candles began to flicker erratically. Then came the whispers, the dead's voices echoing through the hallowed halls. Then there was the scratching, the sound of claws against wood, indicating the presence of something powerful and malevolent. The town's residents were terrified. They stopped going to church and stopped entering it altogether. But there was one man who refused to be frightened. Father Thomas was a strong-willed man of faith who refused to let darkness win. He prayed for guidance and protection for hours in the church. He blessed the walls and floors in an attempt to drive away the evil that had taken root. But it was all in vain. The demon was far too strong and relentless. Father Thomas was sitting in the sanctuary one night when he heard a voice calling out to him. It was a soft, gentle voice that spoke his name. He turned around to see a figure in the shadows with red, glowing eyes and twisted, demonic features. The demon addressed him, taunting and tempting him. It promised him power, wealth, and glory in exchange for his servitude. However, Father Thomas refused. He stood firm in his faith and rebuked the demon in God's name. The demon became enraged, and its appearance began to change. It grew bigger, more twisted, and more frightening. It charged at Father Thomas, but he stood firm, holding his cross and praying to God for strength. The demon vanished in a blinding flash of light. The church fell silent once more, but it would never be the same. People in town still talked about the night the demon appeared, and they remembered Father Thomas, the man who had stood up to the devil himself. But Father Thomas was aware of the truth. He knew the demon wasn't gone, that it was still lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next opportunity to strike. And he knew he'd be ready to face it with faith and courage when the time came. Please support us by liking this video and follow our channel. Don't forget to punch the bell button to get notified when a new video drops. Story 2, The Disappearing Village. It was a typical day in the small village tucked away in the hills. The birds were chirping, the sun was shining, and the villagers went about their business as usual. But as the day progressed, something strange began to occur. People began to become disoriented. Initially, it was just one or two people. They'd go for a walk or tend to their fields and never come back. The villagers assumed they had simply wandered off or gotten lost in the woods and thought nothing of it. But as more and more people vanished, fear gripped the village. The remaining villagers barricaded themselves inside their homes, afraid to go outside. At night, they could hear strange noises coming from the nearby woods. And some claimed to see shadowy figures lurking in the darkness. One day, a group of villagers mustered the courage to leave the comfort of their homes to investigate. What they discovered was a horror beyond their wildest dreams. The once thriving village had now been completely abandoned, with no signs of life in sight. The fields had become overgrown, the livestock had vanished, and the houses were deserted. They discovered a strange symbol etched into the ground in the center of town while searching the villa, the Phantom Shivers. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen before, and it filled them with dread. They were startled to hear a low, rumbling growl coming from the woods. They ran back to their homes for safety, but it was too late. The growling became louder and closer, and before they knew it, they were surrounded by a swarm of wild, feral animals. They were unlike any other animals they had ever seen, with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp teeth. And they attacked the villagers with a ferocity that defied description. In the end, only a few villagers escaped the attack. They fled the village, never to be seen or heard from again, and the village was never seen or heard from again. Some say it was cursed, while others believe it was a portal to another dimension. Whatever the cause, the survivors were haunted by the memory of the vanished village for the rest of their lives. Story 3: The Phantom Ship. On a cold winter evening, Captain John and his crew set sail in search of treasure. They were experienced sailors who had weathered numerous storms, but they were unprepared for what lay ahead. The ship was hit by a fierce storm as they approached the Bermuda Triangle, which tossed it around like a toy. The crew fought valiantly, but the storm was too powerful, and the ship was soon lost in the chaos. The storm had passed days later, and the crew found themselves adrift on a deserted sea. The ship had been irreparably damaged, and they had no way of calling for assistance. Food and water supplies were rapidly depleting, and morale was at an all-time low. They were huddled around a flickering lantern one night when they heard a strange noise coming from the depths of the ship. It was a low, mournful sound that made their spines tingle. They approached the source of the noise with caution and discovered the cargo hold door wide open. Inside, they discovered the treasure they were looking for, but it was not alone. The treasure was guarded by a ghostly figure, its eyes blazing with an otherworldly fire. The crew attempted to exit the cargo hold, but the ghostly figure refused to let them. They were trapped on the ship by a vengeful spirit, whose rage grew stronger with each passing day. With the passage of time, the crew began to vanish one by one, leaving no trace behind. The captain was the last to die, and as he lay dying, he muttered something about the ship being cursed. A passing vessel spotted the ghost ship years later, but there was no sign of life aboard. The ship was abandoned, forever haunting the seas and claiming the lives of those who ventured too close. Please support us by liking this video and follow our channel. Don't forget to punch the bell button to get notified when a new video drops.